Hey, good evening, USA, International Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. This is your man and homie, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, your host with the most, misunderstood, lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, creator, YouTuber, Queens, New York native, who's also a New York Mets fan, New York Giants fan, from the neck of the woods of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And yes, you're now rocking with me by tuning in, listening, streaming, and watching the 104th episode of the Sports Edition show, Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, live and direct from StreamYard alongside with um the comfort space of my room where I do my recordings, and of course YouTube, and for those of you who are new to this channel right here, this is basically about you know various topics in baseball news, including the New York Mets. There's basketball news. There's a little football news, including the New York Giants as well. But because I've been so focused on the New York Mets and stuff lately, um, I had to make sure I put in a little bit of New York Giants news and stuff as far as the preseason goes. Um, I have a lineup of the New York Giants schedule, which I will actually um, go down. I'm not gonna go through all of them. I'm just gonna go through some of them. So so yeah, and please forgive me for not being not being able to record for the past couple of days. I want to take the time to actually be real with y'all for a second, and myself actually. So I've been mentally exhausted from my job hunt, filling out job applications, over 12 job applications, and believe it or not, it's been very frustrating for me. And and I and I just wanted to actually, put it out there as I'm recording this episode whatsoever, that sometimes I'm not always okay, but but right now, I'm trying to hang in there. It's not easy, but it's um September is tomorrow, and about to reach the 1 year anniversary of me being laid off. So it's been 12 months, going on in 13 months to a year. So, and and I know I'm probably not the only person that's going through this. I'm pretty sure there's some of you out there that's going through this as well. So so yeah, there you go, right there. All right. Speaking of StreamYard, man, I want to actually put out there that you can set up your account with StreamYard. You can also use your email address, or your podcast email address, for those of you that are gamers, some of you that are podcasters who have who who have shows for themselves that are hosts. This one's for you. So you want to go to so check out www.streamyard.com. Set up an account with your email address or your podcast email address and stuff, so you can level up and get yourself a discount. All right. And if you miss out on any episodes whatsoever, please feel free to actually catch up on the sports YouTube channel page. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for me on the sports YouTube channel page of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast. And of course, leave a like and a comment. Tell me how you feel about the sports topics, whether it's baseball news, whether it's what baseball news including the New York Mets, whether it's football news, including the New York Giants, which I will start to cover, and basketball news, whether it's like the Knicks, Brooklyn Nets, whatever. Um, yeah, I will do my best to actually cover those particular stories and stuff. So depending on what I'm looking for. So happy Labor Day weekend to every single one of you out there, and I hope y'all are actually enjoying yourselves, preparing yourselves for the West Indian Parade, which is tomorrow. Um, and I will actually try to discuss the street closures, probably in a separate podcast episode. So I'm going to actually, you know, talk about that in a separate podcast episode. So I'm probably not going to be able to do it in this one right here. All right. And please be careful out there if you're going to Brooklyn, especially Eastern Parkway, where the parade is going to be shown, the carnival, whatever event that's going on right now, man. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some cops there, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be security guards, um, and everything else. So take take your friends with you, your parents with you, whatever you plan to do this. And I also will talk about where you can watch it on a separate podcast episode. So stay tuned for that, which is my comedy off the meat rack chains New York Avenue podcast. I will try to record 417 tonight. So I will do my best actually, because I'm not going to be able to do that tomorrow um because I'm already going to be recording episode 418. So stay tuned for that. All right. So um all right, let's talk a little bit of New York Giants news actually. Um a little bit of Giants news and stuff. I want to actually go over the whole day. The crazy thing is I didn't even know Daniel Jones got traded. That's insane, man. I didn't know he got traded though, man. That's crazy though, man. But anyway, let's get to the quick side bleacher ball. Okay. I did not know that Daniel Jones was signed to the Colts, which is interesting. Um so yes, so let's get to it though, because this is this is out of left field actually. So let's talk about it though. Let's talk about it though. All right. Some New York Giants news to talk about there. I know they played the preseason, which is like what, 3 games and stuff. So a little bit of a recap here actually. So this is from Clutch Points. The upcoming 2025 NFL season will mark the first time in 6 years that the Giants won't have Daniel Jones playing in the opener. Their new quarterback unit starred in Saturday's 34-25 victory over the Buffalo Bills in the preseason opener. Jones represented the Giants for 6 years from 2019 to 2024, being the full-time starter throughout that span. After the team released him midway through last season, he ended his stint with 137 completions for 14,582 yards and 70 touchdowns after 70 games. He now plays for the Indianapolis Colts, signing 1 year. Hold on. Yes, he now plays for the Indianapolis Colts, signing 1 year contract this offseason. And forgive me for the sirens you hear in the background. That's the ambulance or the fire truck. Um, it didn't take long for Giants fans to react to their first opener without seeing Jones start. Apparently, they were positive about it, considering they went 24-44-1 in his 69 starts. Here are some Here are some of their reactions. First Giants opener with no Daniel Jones on my team, one fan said with a celebration video. We got Giants football without Daniel Jones for the first time in 6 years. Another remarked with a Clemson Tigers football video. First Giants game day in 6 years without Daniel Jones on the roster, one commented with a wrestling clip. I'm pretty sure he made it. I'm pretty sure he made a fucking meme too. Oh shit. Jackson Dart, our franchise quarterback. Abdul Carter is him. Defense gonna be scary. Daniel Jones is off my team. Giants football is back, a fan declared. Oh wow. All right, how Giants played against the Bills, you ask. So it's clear that New York fans have moved on from Daniel Jones. This happened after they got a solid introduction from the Giants' new quarterback unit, taking down the Bills on the road. And of course, obviously, I've been hearing about Russell Wilson, who's been an athlete for different teams for years. Here's what's happening with this guy here. Russell Wilson started the game as he completed 6 of his 7 passes for 28 yards in the first quarter. Um, um, is it James Winston or yeah, James Winston? I think. Anyway, James Winston came in the following period, getting 7 completions for 62 yards and a touchdown. Returning quarterback Tommy DeVito and rookie Jackson Dart played the entire second half, combining for 22 completions and 227 yards and 2 touchdowns. New York's receiving core had a bigger presence than the run game. They pulled off 35 receptions for 317 yards and 3 touchdowns. Lil Jordan Humphrey, Jordan Ward, and Gunnar Olszewski were the receivers to get the touchdown passes. And of course, the Giants played on August. Let me check something real quick. So they played. So they played the preseason since August 9th, and they won against the Buffalo Bills 34-35. And then on August 16th, they played the New York Giants at in East Rutherford 31-12, and they played the New England Patriots. So the New York Giants played the New England Patriots also in New Jersey, which is they won 42-10. So there you go, right there. And like I said, stay tuned for some New York Giants schedule. I'm gonna do a rundown before I get off the air, alongside with what's going on with the New York Mets as they play the Detroit Tigers, and along with Cincinnati and Philadelphia. All right. All right. In other football news regarding the New York Giants, man, let's take a look here. This is from Sports Illustrated. Um, It's from Sports Illustrated. So let's take a look here. Hold up. Um, all right. Okay. The New York Giants opened the 2025 preseason with a 34-35 victory over Buffalo on Saturday afternoon. It is always great to get a win, regardless of whether it is the regular season or the preseason. The joy that comes with a win is palpable and can sustain an organization and its fan base throughout the week, even if things were not perfect. There were some standout performances in this win over the Bills, alongside some less than stellar ones that will be revealed in film sessions and debated throughout the week until the team's next game. Let's look at a few winners and some other guys who will need to look for better performances in the next preseason game. Great Jackson Dart, quarterback. Dart had a great first showing for the team. He completed 12 of 19 passes for 154 yards and a touchdown. He also had a nice 19-yard first down scramble, and they even called a designed quarterback power, which picked up a few yards. He navigated the pocket well and was mostly decisive. It was the type of debut that makes people believe he could be ready for service sooner rather than later. Dante Miller, running back. The man nicknamed Turbo was just that. Every time he touched the football, he looked like he was shot out of a cannon. Oh shit. Miller finished with 10 carries for 22 yards, which were highlighted by a couple of carries he bounced outside to pick up quality yards. His real impact was all over the passing game. He had 7 receptions for 80 yards. He was getting screen passes and dumbing down passes, then taking off with them. He picked up a few first downs, including a couple of firsts on third downs that were over 10 yards. He made people pay attention, and that is all you can ask. He also had a 20-yard kickoff return. Lil John Humphrey, wide receiver. Humphreys looked smooth and fluid out there, trying to do his best Malik Neighbors impression. That's never going to happen. He only had 2 receptions for 36 yards, but one was a touchdown grab on a fade ball thrown beautifully by Dart. Humphrey was able to create a little separation, reach out, and haul in the pass, diving into the end zone. It was a pretty pass, but a beautiful catch as well. He used his physical frame to ward off defenders. Deontay Banks. Banks showed two things that many Giants fans should be happy to see during the game. He showed a willingness to tackle after last season, looking disinterested in bringing ball carriers down, finishing with 3 solo tackles. That is important because assisted tackles can sometimes be misleading. That's true. He also stayed in phase on deep passes down the sideline. The Bills tried to go up top on him twice, and both times he was in lockstep with the receiver, and the passes were incomplete. Some will still argue that he didn't quite get his head around looking for the ball. I will counter with incomplete pass. Marcus Embo, um, receiving tackler. The first or second units on the offensive line did not give up a sack. That is already worth a star. But Mbow handled himself well playing right tackle. Oh, right tackle. Okay. He looked light on his feet while also showing the power to anchor down on rushers. He also showed a little of the nasty streak you would want to see from an elite prospect on the line. Not great. Shane Bowen, defensive coordinator. The first unit played solid defense, but the rest of the game, um, the defense looked like an absolute mess with inconsistencies everywhere. The defense appeared unprepared. The mark of any good defense is now, excuse me, not how the starters play, but the level of fall off from the starters to the backups. This did not simply look like guys who were not good enough. It looked like guys who did not know what they were doing. And that partly falls on coaching. And of course, Russell Wilson, the quarterback. Some may say this is unfair because he did complete 6 of his 7 passes and led his sole drive down for a field goal. Field goal. The problem is that his 6 passes amassed 28 yards and he led the team down for a field goal instead of a touchdown. When we all know that settling for field goals has been the Achilles heel of his team for almost a decade. What Wilson also did was open up discussions on whether or not those behind him could produce more if given the chance, since they all produced more with less in this game. James Hudson and Jake Cubas. I think RG stands for receiving guard, and I don't know what LT stands for, but I'll look it up later. This one is a little lighter because Hudson and Kubas did not play poorly. Still, they both had a couple of critical mistakes that could have cost the team points. Both the starting left tackle and right guard had false starts and holding penalties that put blemishes on an otherwise great offensive line performance. In real games, these are the types of penalties that derail an offensive flow. They need to lock on the snap count, improve their hand placement, and be quicker with their feet to avoid holding penalties. Darius Alexander, on a day when DJ Davison recorded a sack, Jordan Riley recorded a sack, Roy Robertson Harris recorded 2 tackles and a quarterback hit, and Corey Durden and Jeremiah Ledbetter each recorded a tackle. It was a little disappointing that Alexander did not flash during the game or show up in the stat book. He was out on the field but did not seem to make an impact. The rookie will need to go back to the drawing board for the next game. Okay, there you go. There you go. Let me see. Let me see. All right. Wait a minute here. Yeah. This is wow. You know what? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let's see. Um, New York Giants offensive triple steals. Okay, okay, Drew Phillips. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, in other New York Giants news, I don't know if anybody, I don't know if anybody picked up on this, but Drew Phillips. Okay, let's take a look on this though. The New York Giants roster was vastly upgraded, at least on paper, by general manager Joe Schoen this past offseason. But when it comes to the under the radar players who could morph into the secret weapons on the team, one player on defense immediately comes to mind: slot cornerback Drew Phillips. Phillips's rookie season was one in which he had to get his feet wet, given that he extended played in the slot in 274 of his 335 total coverage snaps. As a slot cornerback, finished finished tied for 14th out of 22 cornerbacks who had a minimum of 255 slot snaps in terms of NFL coverage, rating 95.6. The change in position, he played 393 out of 1,004 of his college career snaps in the slot, combined with the uptick in the speed of the game, made for a learning experience for the former Kentucky Wildcat. End quote. There were times last year I was just playing with my head on fire like I didn't know. I was just running to the ball, he said in reflecting on what his rookie season was like. Throughout the whole last season, I had my ups and downs. I learned and built off that coming into this year. I feel like I've taken a step and I've seen a lot more. So now when I go in practice, it's not like I don't like, I know what's probably going to come. And now, the scenarios third and short from third and long. Like I can play ball instead of guessing now, he said. Last year, it was just really fast. I was young, but I feel like I've really learned the game. And it slowed down for me a lot. So I can make adjustments and calls on the field that I wouldn't have made last year. That knowledge has also enabled Phillips to increase his already impressive play speed and play strength. I came with the physicality, but now I can, I guess, get another step faster to it. I kind of know what's coming instead of just seeing the ball and going and playing the ball. I can kind of anticipate better, he said. This is why 2025 should mark a significant step forward for Phillips. This preseason, he has looked more confident and more aggressive. Coaches have lauded him for his energy and adaptability. For a Giants defense that leans heavily on creating pressure and forcing mistakes. Phillips could be the unexpected catalyst. He's the type of defensive back who can sneak up on quarterbacks and force mistakes, whether it's by undercutting a route or blitzing off the edge from the nickel spot. That unpredictability makes him dangerous and gives the Giants a way to disguise coverages against the NFC East, which features high powered offenses. The one thing, of course, that Phillips, as well as the rest of the Giants defense, would like to do is generate more turnovers. Turnovers, yeah. Phillips said that the team's turnover chest and be a pirate mentality have been a fun challenge for the defensive backs, not just due to the excitement of making a big play, but because of the multiple ways it can be done. You want to be able to go out there and take the ball back, not just let them come to you. But there are different things like punching at balls or jumping routes. So you just go get the ball back. It kind of makes it more fun, he said. Yeah, I actually agree with this though, man. I actually agree with this method actually. So this is interesting to hear from this is interesting to hear from this is very interesting to hear from Drew Phillips actually. So this is yeah. So 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 like I said, I will get to the rundown of the New York Giants schedule in a couple minutes. So there you go right there. Um and I like this and some hold on, before I go into the Mets, I want to actually get to this actually. This is in regard to New York Liberty, who won their first championship in 2024. In 2024, yeah. Even though I don't, even though I don't have a favorite player on that team, um, but I'll actually touch on this actually. So, so this is from the New York Post actually. So I actually um, get into this actually. So fewer than 1,200 fans filtered into the Barclays Center for the New York Liberty's 2021 season opener to get their first in-person glimpse at 2020 top pick um, Sabrina um, Ionescu in black and sea foam green threads after her rookie season took place in a bubble because of the slamdemic. In 3 short years, the Liberty have seen their average attendance grow by nearly 580%. In 2023, the team recorded its first sellout at Barclays Center, drawing a crowd of 11,418 fans for a regular season contest against the Las Vegas Aces. This year, Ionescu and her teammates won the franchise's first WNBA finals in front of a crowd of more than 18,000. Winning, of course, makes everything easier for a franchise. Fans love to rally and invest in a team that brings home a title. Yes, yes, that's true. That is true. Um, yeah. But the Liberty's recent off the court success follows that of a larger trend across women's sports over the past few years. After years of being undervalued, women's sports, particularly the WNBA, have seen a massive wave of investment and have never seen more accessible for fans to watch and follow. While women's sports may have been on the rise for years, 2024 felt different. It helps that there was no shortage of exciting moments, from the budding rivalry between WNBA rookie stars Caitlin, excuse me, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese to American Olympians Simone Biles and Ayana Maya, um, cap- captivating fans at the 2024 Paris Games. A new professional women's hockey league promising viability and sustainability crowned its first champion. Of course, TV ratings across different sports boomed. Attendance records were shattered too. There were tales of redemption and heartbreak, viral moments, and legendary performances. In the New York market, specifically, women's sports continue to carve out their space in the saturated sports landscape. And of course, the Liberty delivered the city's its first professional basketball title since 1973. Gotham F, Gotham FC fell short of going back to the the NWSL championships. Columbia women's basketball went dancing for the first time in program history. And things are looking up for the Sirens too, after they drafted the most exciting rookie in hockey. Of course, here's a review of each women's professional teams last year. Um, Liberty, after losing to the Aces, um, it losing to the Aces in 2023 WNBA Finals. The Liberty came back this season with a vengeance. Brianna Stewart signed a discounted deal, and John Quell Jones committed on paper to 2 more seasons with the Liberty. The Liberty suffered a tough loss against the Minnesota Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup Championship, but it was New York that ultimately had the last laugh. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, the last laugh. Yeah, so the Liberty met the Lynx in one of the most memorable finals to date. Both teams Ionscu drilled an absurd go-ahead 28-footer with a second remaining to give the Liberty a 2-1 series lead. It came down to an epic Game 5, which the Liberty won in overtime. It ended up being the most watched WNBA Finals game in 25 years, peaking at 3.3 million viewers. With Stewart planning to sign on for another season, the Liberty seem likely to have a good shot at defending their title in 2025. Gotham FC in 2023, Gotham pulled off a miraculous postseason run, going from the last team to make the playoffs to being the last group standing. Gotham had a better. They had a regular season finish this time around, ending in third place. Plenty of drama followed the playoffs. Followed in the playoffs. Gotham hosted the Portland Thorns for the first time for their first home playoff match in team history at Red Bull Arena, and Rose Lavelle scored the go-ahead goal in the seventh minute of stoppage. The semifinals match against the Washington Spirit came down to a penalty shootout. All right. All right. Let's see. Let me see. The Spirit. The Spirit netted 3 straight, and goalie Aubrey Kingsbury had 3 straight stops to end Gotham's season. Gotham already lost one of its 2 notable free agents when midfielder Delaney Sheehan signed with the Houston Dash earlier this month. It's still unclear whether Midge Purse um, um, will be back for Gotham in 2025. Sirens, yeah, you know what? There you go, right there, man. So yeah, I'm not gonna get into all. I'm not gonna get into all this. So let me just So yes, congratulations to the New York Liberty for winning the championship. Um, they also have a TV deal. They got a TV deal from what I've been hearing about actually. So um I'll go over it actually. So let's get into this. Um, and this is from Sports Illustrated. Let's take a look at this. All right. As an organization, we are committed to bringing Liberty basketball to as many households as possible, and we are incredibly proud to enter this groundbreaking partnership with Fox 5 New York. Um, Liberty CEO Kia Clark said in a team statement, expanding our local reach and ensuring we are widely accessible wherever fans watch Liberty games is imperative in today's ever expanding media landscape. WNYW and WWOR, which is in New Jersey, Secaucus, New Jersey, often referred to as Fox 5, which is in New York, and Mine 9, which is WWOR, which is in Secaucus, New Jersey, as you see on your TV screens. Previously held broadcast rights to New York Yankees baseball games as well. Fox 5 continues to air Fox Sports national coverage as well, which currently includes college basketball and football, MLB, NASCAR, and the NFL, while My Nine has often been used as an overflow channel for Brooklyn Nets basketball games. Hmm. Let's see. Let's see. For basketball games. Yes. So Liberty games previously aired on Yes after Joe Size purchase of the team in 2019 after their first 22 years were spent on MSG Network. Moving to WNYW, which is Fox 5 New York, WWOR TV, My 9, which is in Secaucus, New Jersey, ensures not only a wider audience but also avoids conflicts with with the Yankees season, which would sometimes move games to the Yes app. We're fired up to welcome the New York Liberty and their voracious fans to our roster of incredible sports programming. WNYW Senior Vice President and General Manager Lou Leon said in the aforementioned statement, this partnership of two winning teams is a slam dunk. Fox 5 cannot wait for the 2024 season tip off to bring. Actually, it happened already. So, yeah, 2024 tip off season, 2024 season tip off to bring the exciting play of WNBA to our audience. All right, so this is like a recap topic actually. So I wanted to go over it actually. So that's why I wanted to include this because of the deal that they have actually. So just bear with me. Let's see. Just bear with me. Um all righty then. Audience. So on with the return of the illustrious starting five, headlined by three-point queen Sabrina Ionescu and reigning WNBA MVP Breanna Stewart, the Liberty will look to build upon the last season's success, which saw them win a franchise record 32 games and their first WNBA Finals berth since 2002. New York also took home the WNBA Commissioner's Cup in season title in August and sent three players, Ionescu, Stewart, Courtney Vandersloot to the All-Star game. So yeah. There you go right there. All right. Congratulations to the New York Liberty and their TV deal with Fox 5 and Mine 9. All right. Okay, so let's get to some baseball news regarding New York Mets, right? All right, so let me look this up real quick. Let me see. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it though. Let's talk about it. So, all right, so let's get to Juan Soto. Let's get to Juan Soto. Okay, a little recap here, actually. The New York Mets played the Atlanta Braves Tuesday night. The NL rivalry doesn't have as much juice this season as it has in years past. The Mets are rolling with one of the best records in baseball, but the Braves have scuffled all year. Entering Tuesday night's affair, there was a 13-game difference between New York and Atlanta in the divisional standings. Even with that, though, the game did not unfold without some measure of drama. The score was tied at 4-4 entering the ninth inning at Truist Park. Soto kicked off the top of the ninth with a single to get a man on base for Pete Alonso batting cleanup. The Mets slugger mashed one deep into right field, but Ronald Acuna Jr. made a great play at the wall and caught the fly ball for the first out of the inning. But Soto, for some reason, was caught between first and second for a few moments after Acuna made that grab. He seemed confused as to whether Acuna actually caught the ball or if it hit the wall first. His hesitation proved fatal as the Brave star gunned the ball back into the infield to force Soto out at first before he made it back to the bag. What could have been a rally for the Mets suddenly ended up with two outs and nobody on base. They'd go on to lose in extra innings, in extra inning 5-4. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Afterwards, afterwards, Soto laid the blame right at the feet of the umpire for the crucial blunder, explaining he was waiting for the call to be made. The ump took way too long to do so. I mean, we rely on umpires, Soto said. We wait for them to make the something like that earlier this year too. The goal is look for the umpire and make sure he makes the right call. But I felt like he just took way too long to make the decision, and it just tough spot. Yeah, you can, yeah. I don't blame him, man. I don't blame him. Soto's frustration is clear. Obviously, if he assumed the catch was made and booked it back to first base, he would have been safe this time. But if he assumed wrong, he would have put his team in a bad spot. Similarly, if Soto presumed the catch was not made and started sprinting, he would have looked foolish if the catch was in fact made. It's part of every baseball player's process on the base paths to look to the umpire or their coaches to determine what happened. Unfortunately for the Mets, Soto couldn't puzzle it out on time Tuesday. He believes the ump needs to be better next time from these quotes. All right, so let's get into it though. Let's get into let's get into all right, so let's get into the recap here. So, according to Amazing Avenue, sweep complete, slump busted. The Mets won their fourth game in a row and completed the sweep of the Angels off the back of two much needed offensive explosions by Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor. The Mets took advantage of a bullpen game by the Angels, and Sean Manaea took another step in the right direction in his post-injury buildup as the Mets completed the sweep and capped off their fourth win in a row. Manaea opened the game as well as he did in his last outing, striking out the side. Brandon Nimmo rewarded that with a lead-off home run in the bottom of the first, his 19th on the season, putting the Mets ahead 1-0. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The second inning was not as nice to Manaea as a Taylor Ward single and Joe Adele walk put them in immediate danger. He got old friend Travis Darno to fly out before low bases with a Ren Luis Rengifo Luis Rengifo walk. Manaea worked out of the trials and tribulations of his own doing, however, getting Chris Taylor to ground into a double play to end the threat. The bottom of the second went nearly identically to the top of it, as Starlin Marte and Brett Baty hit back-to-back singles to lead off the inning. Mark Vientos put a dent in the threat with a double play, and Luis Torrens ended it with a pop-out. The third inning saw Manaea settle in, though he did surrender a solo home run to Mike Trout, which is hardly something to be ashamed of. Manaea threw scoreless innings in the fourth and fifth on the back of it, ending his day with a strong line of 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Outside of the second inning jam and the solo shot to a future Hall of Famer, Manaea looked closer to form than he did in his previous start. The Mets rewarded with Manaea with quality run support. Eder, who did the valiant job of pitching the final 6 innings of the game for the Angels, got off to a rough start in the bottom of the third. A Tyrone Taylor walk and Nimmo hit by pitch saw the Mets threaten again with no outs. This time for the brutality slumping Francisco Lindor. Lindor broke a career worst 0 for 31 streak at the plate with an RBI single, making it 2-1. After Soto popped up, Pete Alonso broke out of his own mini slump with a mammoth 3-run home run, pushing the lead to 5-1. Wow. Let's see. Let me see. 5-1. All right, so Lindor, who seemingly completely forgot about his career worst offer coming into the game, added another RBI single to his ledger in the bottom of the fourth, cashing in Luis Torrens, who reached on a fielder's choice. Mark Vientos led off the frame with a double and got thrown out at third on a ground ball to the shortstop and was pushed to second by a Nimmo single. It gave the Mets a 6-1 lead. The Mets did more than hanging on than dominating to the finish line after they took that 5-run lead in the fourth. Eder really settled in for the Angels, holding the Mets scoreless from the fifth inning on after getting hit around in his first two innings. The Mets bullpen wrote another chapter in their autobiography, "Bend Out." Bend but don't break. Wow. Obviously, Jose Buto, fresh off an injured list stint due to an illness, was rusty in his return. Coming into relief, relieve Brazaban in the seventh, Buto surrendered 2 runs in the frame and only got 2 outs before Carlos Mendoza turned to Brooks Raley. Yeah, turned to Brooks Raley. Let's see. Yeah, so Rarely, who has been absolute nails in both his rehab assignments and his big league return from Tommy John surgery, had first shaky outing of the 2025 campaign. He walked the first batter he faced in um, Scanuel. No, Nolan Shanuel before getting Trout to ground out as the tying run in a 6-3 game. Rarely got the eighth as well and was still not sharp. He walked the lead off hitter, got the next 2 outs, and was pulled in rather aggressive fashion for closer Edwin Diaz. Hit the first batter he faced and was promptly bailed out by some questionable umpiring. He got the tying run. Luis Rengifo to strike out looking, but dear reader, you be the judge. Um, you be the judge. The top of the ninth saw the only fireworks coming from the Angels dugout as their manager Ray Montgomery and offensive coordinator Tim Laker got ejected for three obvious and frankly justifiable reasons as the Mets went down in order. Diaz started off the ninth just as shaky as he was in the eighth. Hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Shaky in the eighth. Yes, Diaz started off the ninth just as shaky as he was in the eighth, leading off the inning by hitting Chris Taylor in the helmet with a fastball. Thankfully, Taylor got up immediately and seemed okay, but it was very scary nonetheless. Diaz, to his credit, settled down after that, getting Zach Nito to strike out. Nolan Shanuel to weekly ground out and Mike Trout to pop out, making him the last out in back-to-back games. Well, of course, man. Of course, you got to talk about the amount of success that the Mets had. All right. So, and speaking of success, Pete Alonso did tie Strawberry's home run record. Let me find that. Let me find that story. Let me find that story because Let me find that story if I can find it. Let me find that story. Let me find that story. Let me just get that. Damn. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so Darryl Strawberry has company atop the Mets all-time home run list. Pete Alonso blasted career homer number 252 in the second inning of the Mets on Saturday night to tie Strawberry as the franchise's all-time leader. The homer against the Brewers, Tobias Myers was Alonso's 26th this season. In June, the slugging first baseman had a two-homer game at Colorado that moved him ahead of David Wright for second place on the Mets all-time list. Wright hit 242 homers. Um, but Alonso endured a drought beginning in late June and didn't pick up the pace until the Mets homestand. Alonso hit 3 homers in 4 games to begin the homestand. Um, and Strawberry set his franchise record from 1983 to 1990. Strawberry, in establishing his mark, broke Dave Kingman's franchise record of 154 homers. So congratulations to Pete Alonso. He not only tied Dow Strawberry, but he went ahead. He went ahead of Dow Strawberry. So that's pretty good. And that's pretty dope though. So let's see. All right, let's see. So why don't we take a look at the farm? Let's take a look at the farm actually. So let's take a look at the farm. So we'll take a look at the farm. So let's take a look. So let's see. Um so Brandon Sproat. Yeah, let's talk about him. AAA Syracuse Mets, 31 to 44, 35 to 21. So let's see. Brandon Sproat's roller coaster season continued last night. This time, not just a good start, but one of his best starts in 2025, period. The last time he took the mound on the 24 against Indianapolis, he allowed 7 runs, 5 earned in 3.2 innings. This time around, he threw a gem, blanking the rail riders. for 7 innings, scattering 3 hits and walking a pair while striking out 9, tying his season high. Yanni Hernandez homered in the third to make Sproat the winning pitcher of record. Ryan Clifford added a run in the top of the ninth, and the bullpen held things down with Dylan Ross and Richard Lovelady combining Scrant- to blank Scranton Wilkes Barre over the final 2 innings. Let's see. Let's see. So you got Luis Angel Acuna, 1 for 4, um, a strikeout, um, and I believe that's a strikeout, and I believe that's a double. Ryan Clifford, 1 for 4 with an RBI. Francisco Alvarez, who's doing his rehab on his thumb. I will talk about that in the following episode. 0 for 4 and 3 strikeouts. Jared Young, 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. Luke Ritter, 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. Jose Azocar, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Gilberto Celestino, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Yanni Hernandez, 1 for 3 with a run and a home run, an RBI, and a strikeout. Matt O'Neill, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Brandon Sproat, 7.0 IP, 3 hits, no runs, no errors, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, and is the winner. He won eight wins and 6 losses. Dylan Ross, 0.1 IP, no hits, no runs, no error, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, and of course, Richard Lovelady, 1.2 IP, 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and of course, roster alert: New York Mets recalled right-handed pitcher Chris Davinsky from um, Syracuse Mets, and he was also sent back down to Syracuse as well because he was there in Saturday's game against the Miami Marlins, which I'll cover that in a future episode. Let's see. So there you go, right there. And Carlos Guzman assigned to Syracuse Mets from Binghamton Rumble Ponies. Oh boy. Yeah. So there you go, right there. Let's see. Do I really? And this is interesting. But so all right, let's go on to the Brooklyn Cyclones. I never covered the Brooklyn Cyclones, but I'll take a look at this. So the Renegades took the initial lead, scoring a run off of Dakota Hawkins in the top of the second, but Brooklyn tied things up in the bottom of the inning and did not trail from that point on. The Cyclones took the lead in the bottom of the third on a Marco Vargas RBI single, and then added a pair of runs in the bottom of the fifth on triple from Vargas and a double off the bat of Yaharo Cuevas. Hudson Valley kept the pressure on Brooklyn, scoring a pair of runs in the eighth, but the Cyclones got one of those back in the bottom of the frame. Things got dicey in the top of the ninth as they played it another run. But the bullpen was able to hold things together. So there you go right there. So a rundown of the players. Marco Vargas, 2 for 3 with a run, a triple. No, triple. 2 RBIs, a walk, and Yaharo Cuevas, 1 for 4 with a double and an RBI and a strikeout. Trace Wilhoit, 1 for 4 and 2 strikeouts. Colin Hulk, Houck, 0 for 2 with a run, 2 walks and a strikeout. Yonatan Henriquez, 1 for 2 with a run, three, 2 walks, and a run, and 2 walks and a run. Nick Rosselli, 0 for 4 with an RBI. Corey Collins, 0 for 3 with an RBI, 2 strikeouts. Vincent Perozzo, 0 for 4 and 3 strikeouts. Diego Mascura, 2 for 3 with 2 runs, I think a double, 2 walks and a strikeout. Dakota Hawkins, 2.0 IP, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 error, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. Austin Troesser, 1.0 IP, 1 hit, no runs, no errors, no walks, 3 strikeouts, and got the W, 2-1. Okay. Josh Blum, 2.0 IP, 2 hits, no runs, no errors, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and of course Haas Brewer, 2.0 IP, 2 hits, 2 runs, no errors, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Brett Banks, 2.0 IP, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 error, no walks, 5 strikeouts. So there you go. Leonel Aviles, assigned to the Brooklyn Cyclones from St. Lucie Mets. Right-handed pitcher Jose Guevara, assigned to Brooklyn Cyclones from St. Lucie Mets. So there you go. There you go right there. Okay. I want to actually let me see if I have anything left to talk about. Yes, so let's go on to, I want to actually do a rundown. I want to do a rundown on actually hold on a second. All right, I'm gonna do a rundown on I want to do a rundown on the sports podcast that you should check out. And this is going to be some sports podcasts of the week. This is where I recommend some podcast shows for you folks at home to listen to. So let's get to it right here. Some sports podcasts of the week. All right. So, course, sports podcast of the week. Like I always say. So, of course, starting with first time caller, long time listener podcast by Laura Albanese. Empire State Sports Report podcast by Adriana. Shane Sons podcast Till Mets Do His Part podcast, Subway the Shade podcast, Empire State of Baseball podcast, Shade Station, Locked On Mets, Messed Up podcast, Believe in Mets podcast, CP's True Mets Talk podcast, Meet at the Apple podcast with Vito Calisi, Jonathan Barron. That's the official New York Mets podcast. Shea Less podcast. Well, straight out of Flushing Mets podcast. Mets Weekly, the Mets Pod, Mets podcast. We gotta believe the Call Up, an MLB Prospect podcast, Top Bunk Sports and 7 Express podcast, Cup of Mets, Subway Sports Talk podcast, Wardy NYM, a show about the New York Mets, mostly Mets, Mets Fix, Filthy Sports, He Did This to Me podcast, Locked Up Sports, New York Sports Talk, Mets Therapy, Digging Weekly, and Digging Deep podcast. All right, so there's more sports podcasts I want to actually get to. So let me find where I can actually let me find it though. I'm gonna find it. Okay. So all right, you got the 3-inning fan podcast with Kelly Franco, Mets Fix, Mets Central, Digging Deep, the Rico Bronya podcast with Evan Roberts, who you may know from WFAN of Evan of what is it? Evan and Tiki show, which you can see on weekdays at 4 to 6 p.m. on SNY. Locked On Sports Today podcast that talks about stories in the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and the NCAA. You got Foul Territory. You got YouTubers like Dominant Mets Nation. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. And of course, Metcast by Ray and Dan. Make sure you subscribe to that podcast as well. Who's Right? Mets podcast. You Know I'm Right podcast. Believe in Mets podcast. Top Bunk Sports 7 Express podcast. Mets Therapy. Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. Talking baseball. Bourbon and baseball. Locked On Big 12 podcast. The Triborough podcast, Locked On Yankees podcast and postcast, Locked On NBA East Squad podcast, the Deferred Collusion podcast, Locked On Fantasy Baseball, Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast, as well as Locked On Nets, Hoops for Hotties by Mariah Rose, Born to the Game podcast, Locked On NBA, Locked On MLB, Locked On Fantasy Football, Mets Up podcast, Nothing Personal with David Sampson, Early Game, First Pitch MLB Daily Recap podcast. You got Flipping Bats and Nerds podcast, Locked Up Sports, New York Sports Talk podcast, TMZ Sports, Locked On New York Giants podcast, It Is What It Is podcast, Locked On College Football, Locked On College Basketball podcast. You got Locked On NFL Draft podcast, Empire State Sports Report podcast, Giants Latest, another podcast you should check out by Adriana. Locked On MLB Game Night podcast, Locked On Syracuse podcast, Talking Giants, Good Morning Football and Overtime, Good Morning Football podcast and Overtime on My 9. My 9 in Roku, Locked On Mets Postcast, Full Circle podcast with Lexi Brown and Mariah Rose, Locked On NBA Game Night podcast, of course, Mesmerized Online podcast, of course, obviously Mets Off Day Live on SNY's YouTube channel page, the Blunt Talk Sports podcast, Straight Out of Flushing Mets podcast, Beyond the Jersey, and of course, you can check out another another show, which is the Sports Card CEO Official Collectibles Podcast. Of course, you can check them out on YouTube and stream platforms. Let's see. There is more sports podcasts for you folks at home to actually check out as well. Now, for those who are let me see. For those of you who are a, a for those of you who are bettors in sports, there is a new podcast that I should actually mention is Locked On Bets. All right. Yeah, Locked On Bets. I should actually mention that as well. So let me make sure I mention. Hang on a second. Hold on. Do I have it on the list? Hang on. Okay. Got it. All right. So the Sports Shots podcast, the Baseball Aficionado podcast, Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast, Baseball Today, the Portal Daily College Recruiting and NIL podcast, Mets in the UK podcast, Locked On NFL Draft Daily podcast on the NFL, New York Got Game, a New York basketball team podcast, Straight Out of Flushing Mets podcast. Of course, these two podcasts that I just mentioned is by Dexter Henry, who you may know from SNY and the New York Post Sports. And of course, there's Speak, there's Believe in Mets, there's Mets Therapy, Giants Nation Show, a Giants podcast, Queens of the Court, a WNBA podcast, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with Carmela Anthony podcast, Talking Baseball, MLB podcast, and of course the Giants Insider podcast. You got first time caller, long time listener podcast with Laura Albanese. Locked On NBA Big Board NBA Draft Podcast, First Take, the Black Baseball Mixtape Podcast, the Just Baseball Show, Baseball Tonight with Buster Olney, 10th Inning Talk hosted by April, Post Moves with Candace Parker and Aaliyah Boston, Mets Daily with Jake Brown, Fud Around and Find Out Podcast, in case you missed it, with Christina Williams, Dropping Diamonds with DJ Diamonds, Good Game with Sarah Spain podcast, Welcome to the Party with Tisha Allen podcast. First, Naked Sports, Kari Champion, First Pitcher Fantasy Baseball podcast, Just Mets, the Orange Zone podcast, and of course, the New York Mets Dove Report by Ernest Dove, who does reports in regards to minor league players in the minor leagues. And let's see. Getaway Day MLB podcast, Sports on Cork, Full Sports Press podcast, JM Baseball, Locked On Big 12 podcast, Big Blue Banter, Dudes on Dudes podcast, by the Grunt himself, the Big Podcast with Shaq, Funky Friday with Cam Newton, the Black Baseball Mixtape podcast, Nightcap, Around the Diamond, Mets Musings, Outside Sports Baseball podcast, Attack the Baseline, Giants Nation Show podcast, Giants Insider podcast, Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes podcast, Locked On NFL Draft podcast, 4th and 1 with Cam Newton podcast, All the Smoke, Locked On Bets, like I just mentioned, Locked On Bets podcast. If you are a fan of placing bets, this podcast is for you. Locked On Bets. Check out Locked On Bets on YouTube and streaming platforms. The Mina Kimes Show. You can check that out as well. Also on YouTube and streaming platforms. Games with Names with Elderman podcast. Giants Huddle from the Borough podcast. Blue Rush, a New York Giants football podcast by Brandon London, who you may know from the New York Post Sports. He also does interviews. You also see him a couple of times doing interviews with Wardy. You can also subscribe to Wardy's YouTube channel, Wardy NYM. And let's see, we got Fireside Giants, Attack the Baseline, Full Sport Press podcast, Locked On Women's Basketball podcast, Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings podcast, Good Follow, Giants Collective, and of course, Games on Games podcast. All right. So there you go. Let me see if I left out anything. Let's see if I left out anything. Let's see if I left out anything Let's see. Let's see. Wait. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's it, man. I think that's it right there, though. With the sports podcast, actually. So if I get a chance and I see any more sports podcasts on YouTube and stuff, I'll try to add that to the list. So don't worry. All right. So I want to do a rundown. Of the before I even go to the New York Giants schedule and stuff. So I want to actually remind y'all that that the New York Mets are going to be playing against the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers, actually, which is tomorrow on Labor Day, which is a day game tomorrow. Let me find out where. Yeah, let me find out something, actually. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, so tomorrow, September 1st, is a Monday. The New York Mets play against the Detroit Tigers at 1:10 p.m. on SNY, following September 2nd at 6:40 on SNY, and September 3rd at 1:10 p.m. on SNY. And they get a day off on September 4th. And they go to Cincinnati on Friday, September 5th. September 6th. Both Friday and Saturday, both games starts at 6:40 p.m. God damn. That means I'm not gonna be able to record on that Saturday. So let's see. Oh, Sunday, September 7th. Hold on. Both of these games, September 5th, September 6th, both of these games are on SNY. And Sunday, September 7th, 1:40 p.m. on Pix 11. And they have a 4-game series. They got a 4-game series in Philadelphia. Monday, September 8th at 6:45 p.m., followed by Tuesday, same time, 6:45 p.m., and Wednesday, September 10th, also at 6:45. Thursday, September 11th, the Mets have a game with the Phillies at 7:15. So they got a 4 games. They have a 4 game. They got a 4 game stint with the Phillies. So, and so let me just. I'm all right. I'm gonna leave it at that. With the rest of the schedule. I'll talk about the rest of the schedule for the Mets in the next episode. I want to do a rundown of the New York Giants schedule. All right. For those of you who are New York Giants fans, I'm actually going to start covering the New York Giants actually when the New York Mets season is over, even if they make the playoffs and stuff. So, all right, so New York Giants TV broadcast schedule. So the first 3 games, the New York Giants basically did a preseason. They did a preseason already, and they won 3 of those preseason games. Those games don't count. The first regular season of the New York Giants schedule, the New York Giants play against the Washington Commanders. Hang on a second. Washington Commanders. Yeah, Washington Commanders on Sunday, September 7th at 1 p.m., which is on Fox 5, Fox 1, and NFL Plus. September 14th, the New York Giants play against the Dallas Cowboys. Sunday, September 14th, 1 p.m. on Fox 5, NFL Plus, and Fox 1. And of course, the New York Giants play against the Kansas City Chiefs in East Rutherford, New Jersey, at MetLife Stadium, followed by which is Sunday, September 21st at 8:20 p.m. on NBC. You can also watch it on Peacock and NFL Plus. Followed by the Los Angeles Chargers. The New York Giants play the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday, September 28th on CBS 2. You can also watch it. On Paramount Plus, and it starts at 1 p.m. You can also watch it on NFL Plus as well. And of course, the New York Giants go against the New Orleans Saints. Hold on, let me add that. New Orleans Saints, Sunday, October 5th on CBS 2, 1 p.m. on CBS 2. Of course, check your local listings on your TV, Paramount Plus, and NFL Plus. And of course, the New York Giants go against the Philadelphia Eagles Thursday, October 9th on Prime Video, NFL Plus, 1 p.m. New York Giants versus Denver Broncos Sunday, October 19th, CBS 2, 4 or 5 p.m. CBS, you can watch it on CBS 2, you can watch it on Paramount Plus and NFL Plus as well. And what is this? Sunday, October 26th. Yeah, Sunday, October 26th. Hold on a second. Sunday, October 26th. Okay, here we go. Yes, Sunday, October 26th on Fox 5 at 1 p.m. on Fox 5. You can watch it on Fox 1 and NFL Plus. All right. San Francisco 49ers versus New York Giants in East at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Sunday, November the 2nd at 1 p.m. on CBS 2. Check your local TV channel listings. You can watch it on Paramount Plus and NFL Plus. New York Giants versus the Chicago Bears, Sunday, November 9th at 1 p.m. on Fox 5, Fox 1, and NFL Plus. Green Bay Packers versus New York Giants, Sunday, November 16th at 1 p.m. on Fox 5, Fox 1, and NFL Plus. And of course, New York Giants versus Detroit Lions. That is, hang on a second. Hold on, let me check something real quick. Though. Let me check something real quick. Okay, what day is that? Hold on a second. New York Giants schedule. Here we go. Sunday. Let me see something here. Let me see what day is that? Week 1. November 23rd. What day is that? Hang on, what day is that? Hold on a second. Yes, that's a Sunday. I know I wasn't bugging. Sunday, November 23rd. Okay, here we go. Okay, Sunday, November 23rd. The New York Giants play against the Detroit Lions, and it's going to happen on Fox 5. What time is that? That's 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Okay. 1 p.m. Okay. That's 1 p.m. All right, so there you go, folks. There you go. Yeah, so the rest of the schedule I will cover that in each episode whatsoever. So don't worry. I just wanted to give y'all like a taste of the schedules. As a matter of fact, I may post it on the YouTube channel community tab. I'm going to actually try to see if I can actually I'm gonna try to post it on Threads, post it on Blue Sky Social, post it on Facebook, and of course perhaps Instagram as well. All right, so I got y'all. So there you go. All right. Okay. I think I'm going to wrap up right here. Actually. So let me see, what time is it right here. The time is okay. So there you go. All right. So we're gonna wrap up right here. So I'll actually, make sure that I actually, so let's go to, hang on a second here. No, that's not it. All right, so we're gonna go to the very last segment right here, which is stream choices on the go. And if you are new to the channel and you don't know what this segment is about, this is where I actually inform y'all where you can follow the podcast on social media and where you can listen to the podcast and stuff like that. So yes, there you go right here. Stream choices on the go. All right, make sure you follow the sports platform Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast on Facebook alongside with Blue Sky Social, alongside with Threads and Instagram. The same goes with my other podcast shows that I do, which is the entertainment review show, Meticulous Juice podcast, alongside with my comedy Off the Meat Rack Chains New York Avenue podcast. And you can follow your host with the most, G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York, on Threads and Instagram as well. Now, if you go to the link in bio, you're gonna see a list of streaming platforms that I will gladly go over with you. Linktree/Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Pod. You're going to see a whole list of streaming platforms where you can listen to the episodes and all that great stuff whatsoever. Starting with Audible, Odyssey, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you leave a 5 stars and a review. It helps the show, helps me as a content creator who is also trying to get more topics to talk about when it comes to sports topics and stories and all that other stuff. So I got y'all with that. And of course, yes, 5-star rating. And don't forget to leave a review on there. Tell me how you feel about the sport in each episode, including this one. Also, you can listen on Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM Podcast, Overall FM Podcast, Player FM. You can also listen on Pandora, Pocket Cast, Podo Polo, Podorama, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Guru, Podcatcher, Podcast Republic, Snipped, and of course, make sure you add the podcast to your Spotify playlist. All right, make sure you do that. You can also listen on Spotify for creators. You can also comment on there as well. And of course, be sure to listen on TuneIn Radio, followed by Fountain, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, where you can listen to your favorite music artists such as rappers of R&B and different music genres, and of course hip hop artists as well, radio stations, and of course you can listen to the podcast episodes for free. You don't need a credit card or debit card to download iHeartRadio. All you need to do is not only download iHeartRadio, but also subscribe and follow the Sports Edition show, Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast on iHeartRadio, and of course other streaming platforms that I just mentioned, and of course you can also watch on YouTube, the Sports YouTube channel page. Make sure you subscribe to the Sports YouTube channel page of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, alongside with the episodes to catch up on, and be sure to also leave a like and a comment along with the topics. Tell me how you feel about the sports topics in this episode and previous episodes whatsoever. And and of course I would gladly mention that you can add the podcast to your Spotify playlist, and also make sure you enable alerts on when I'll be on the air live recording new podcast episodes along with sports topics, and of course like I said, you can listen to new episodes of the sports platform show of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast on streaming platforms, like I just said, including YouTube whatsoever, and of course Episodes drops on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. All right. So I will gladly get back into my podcasting grind. I do apologize for taking a hiatus and all that other stuff. So I do apologize for that. And of course, in case anybody's wondering, the baseball topics in this episode is basically recaps because I like to do highlights of the games and what went down, what went wrong, what went right, whatever it may be though, man. And look, man. And look, I'm not one of those New York Mets fans who is all doom and gloom and stuff. That's not me. Even though even though they lost a couple of games, it doesn't really it doesn't mean I'm going to stop being a supporter of the New York Mets though, man. And neither should you. Because you chose to support the New York Mets, regardless of what or lose. And I hate some, and I hate when some, not all, I hate when some of the Mets fans out there who who say that they're going to quit watching the game when really, when really they're just bluffing. And sometimes, sometimes I wonder, and I'm not saying everybody. Sometimes I wonder if y'all are truly New York Mets fans. And I'm not saying this to insult anybody, but I'm saying this because a lot of times when I hear when I hear or see comments like that, it makes me question. And sometimes I have to wonder, are you truly going to give up on a baseball team from Flushing, Queens, New York, all because they lost a couple of games? At the end of the day, folks, they're fucking human beings. They're fucking human beings, man. You know, you have to understand they're not machines. I understand this is a results business, but at the end of the day, too. And and I do pay attention to the the schedule of the New York Mets and how tough it is to actually going from New York to different states to play different teams and stuff. It's just the time zones. The time zones can be very, very difficult, especially LA, San Francisco, San Diego, and of course other states as well. And it's very hard. It's very hard. You know what I mean? It's very hard for it's very hard because they're exhausted and stuff. Like you can't really like bash them. Like you could critique, but you can't keep bashing them and making it sound like it's like the end of the world. I get you want to win a championship, but at the end of the day, look, there's a chance that they may or may not be able to catch up to the Phillies, but they do play against the Phillies in Philadelphia. Because remember, they swept the Phillies in City Field. Let's not forget. Of. Let's not lose sight of the good. Let's not lose sight of the good. So, um, so yeah, there you go, man. This is just my thoughts. This is just my thoughts, though. And I actually saw an interview with Corey Singer on SNY, and the reason why he's been losing and stuff. He mentioned something about his body. He mentioned something about his body or whatever. I mean, he's not injured or anything like that. It's just he doesn't feel like himself, and that's why you don't really see him go in on the ghost fork anymore because with the injuries that he had and stuff. So it's going to be, and he's looking for answers. He's looking for answers, but it's not going to be easy answers right now. So yeah, I do feel for him though. And yeah, he did cost the Mets games with losses and stuff, especially with the errors and all that other stuff. I get it. It's just like I said before, man. I'm not going to be one of those New York Mets fans who is going to be, all doom and gloom like everything is the end, and it really isn't. How many games they got left? They only got like what, 20 or 19 games left with September around the corner. I mean, come on, man. Like, listen. And of course there's going to be some roster spots. I will talk about the roster spots in one of the following future episodes. I will talk about that. I got y'all with that. So yeah. That's gonna do it for me, man. I'm your man, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. Rhymes with now later. Thank you very much for listening, tuning in, and rocking with me. You could have listened to any other sports podcast in the whole world, but you chose to listen to this podcast as well. And remember, the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and earn it. It's not going to be given to you in a fucking silver platter. And of course, and if you plan on starting a podcast, there is a wrong time to starting a podcast, okay? And there is no right or wrong way into hosting your own podcast show. All right. You just know that podcasters are different from the mainstream because what mainstream does, they're they're basic they're basically, censored and all that other stuff. With podcasters, some podcasters get the curse. You know what I mean? Um, there's PG-13 and there's rated R, unfiltered, uncensored. You get the rest. You know what I'm saying? You get the rest. And yeah, overthink, man. Do not overthink about your topics on what you're trying to talk about and what you're trying to discuss and stuff. Don't overthink, man. Do not stress yourself out, and of course, be yourself behind the microphone. Have confidence in yourself behind the microphone, and be on your P's and Q's creatively, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, that gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. All right. Listen, man. I always want to say this, man. And I always forget to say this actually. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game and how you finish the game. All right. And I'm pretty sure I am going to continue, and I'm going to continue being a New York Mets fan. I'm not quitting on them. I'm not going to quit on the team because of the amount of losses and all that other shit whatsoever. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So, and I'm pretty sure many of you out there who are true Mets fans would not quit on the team, regardless of how many losses that they have. Regardless. It's not the end of the fucking world, okay? It's not. So just please, if you give up on the team, how do you expect them to support you? Think about it, man. All right, man. I'm up out of here. I got to prep for another podcast recording in a few minutes. So I'm going to see y'all next time. on the flip side with more new topics in sports, basketball. No, yeah, basketball topics in the future. Hopefully I'll do more New York Giants topics and of course some more New York Mets topics as well. So stay tuned for all of the new sports topics coming up in each episode whatsoever. And of course, today's episode is titled Success. Basically with the New York Giants and of course the New York Mets who swept the Los Angeles Angels. So there you go. So far the New York Mets have 8 sweeps. 8 sweeps, okay? Let's not forget that the Mets have 8 sweep wins of each opposing teams that they defeated and creamed, all right? Let's not forget that. I'm out of here. Peace and one love. I'll see y'all. Love. Happy Labor Day weekend. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. I will announce on my other podcast the street closures that's happening and where you can watch it on Pix 11 and live streams and all that. I'll talk about that on my other podcast, all right, in a few minutes. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Yeah, peace and one love. I'll see y'all next time. And of course, be careful out there if you plan on going to the parade. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Have fun with the parade and alongside with the characters in the West Indian parade and the costumes, everything else. Stay safe. Cops are going to be out there, so don't worry about the violence or anything like that that's like gang related. Don't worry about any of those things whatsoever. So it should not stop you from having fun. So be careful, stay safe. Happy Labor Day weekend. Peace out. Good night, everybody.